Ice cream, adventure, milkshakes, all the special kinds.
It's milkshake time.
Ice cream, adventure, Jerry is always by my side.
What?
Listening, and I might tell you why. Ice cream, adventure, music, all the time. Ice cream, adventure, this truck will get me down the line. Will this truck get me down the line? On the ice cream adventure. Ice cream adventure, good times right around the bend. Ice cream adventure, come on and join me now, my friends. Let's go party with the milkshake guru again. For the ice cream adventure.
All right, here we go. So what I want to do is kind of go over my history of the 49 years that I was gone from the city of Portland after I was born. Born in Portland Hospital to Carol Ann King and James Everett King, my parents. My father abandoned my mother and 3 children when I was 1 with no money in the mid-60s. Nice guy, my dad, I would guess. So anyway, her 3rd husband took her out of South Portland where we were living, and we ended up in California, I assume sometime in my 3rd or 4th year. And then we ended up in the woods of Alaska in a city called Tok Junction when I was 5. Spent 5 years in Alaska when I was 5 to 10, and first 2 years we didn't have running water, no electricity. Spent in a little shack that my stepfather built. First 2 winters, huddled around a wood stove. But at that early age, stuff like that gave me a strong will to survive, I guess, because I got a good work ethic from somewhere. I generally don't miss a day of work and do my best. And probably the only good thing my stepfather gave me was that, because he took away my self-esteem and made me feel like I was really, you know, worthless. A young child starts to feel like that at 5, 6, 7 years old. They tend to grow up with that same feeling of insecurity and worthlessness for the rest of their lives. And it did affect my life and my personality in a regular negative fashion. I had a real problem with authority. I had a big chip on my shoulder. I was fucking angry, anxious, depressed. Just made me lash out a lot.
Looks like dirty footwork.
So I ended up in Laconia, New Hampshire when I was 10. My next brother, Russ, was in reform school in Colorado, and my oldest brother, Bob, 3-4 years older than me, 4 years, I think. So he started experimenting with drugs as a teenager, and what better frickin' fun to have than to turn your little brother on to some. Better yet, when he got old enough to comprehend, start dealing it in high school so he wouldn't get the freaking adult charges if he got caught, you know? So I got introduced to the crazy world of drugs and such, very young. Went to reform school my first time, I was 11 years old. skipping school. Couldn't keep me in school. I'd actually go hide until my mother went to work and the bus went by. And you know, when I was little, I was so angry at authority that it affected me in school. I was actually tested as a pretty bright child, but I couldn't stay focused. ADHD, anti-authority, all of it added up for me in school not to be a good mix. So, you know, ended up fucking dropping out as soon as I could at 16 after getting out of reform school for my 4th or 5th time. Got right up in class, grabbing my books. Nice May day, you know, one of those days where it's 68, 70 degrees and the sun's shining, you're sitting in the classroom going, what's this guy dribbling on about in this science class or social studies or whatever the fuck it was? I thought, wait a minute, I turned 16 this winter in reform school. I don't have to be in school anymore. I gathered up my books, stood up. The teacher's like, where are you going? I said, I'm all done, I quit. He goes, you can't do that. I said, I'm 16, I beg your pardon, I think I can. And I walked out of that school. Probably the worst choice I ever made in my life. Could have been anything if I were stuck with it. Got a pretty good analytical mind, pretty sharp mind. Pretty good mathematically. My grammar's not so bad because I read a lot of books. A lot of books. I digested a book a day for 17 months in Florida State Prison. A couple of the bigger textbooks would take 3 or 4 days, but I'm like, why waste the time sitting here feeling miserable? Why don't I start freaking studying whatever I can get my hands on?
What you gonna do now?
Gonna do the best I can.
Trump has already come out for
Why, Jack? I never had a doubt you would.
without due process of law.
There's 2 already over there, and we'll have a 3rd for you by the time you get them 2
$3?
down.
Did he already pay out his bill?
Oh yeah, he came last night, paid in cash. His last $2 in cash. He goes, we're square now, right? Oh, I know, I told his mother today. What was that?
So hey gang, we are here with
Kitty Michelotti. I'm Jack's mom.
Nate?
He doesn't have a name. He's Jack's
Well, you know, I wanted to be a little more
He
personal
doesn't
than
get his
that.
own identity.
That kid is like the coolest ever.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
Made my whole week.
this youngster Jack who just came up to Dan, the guru, and offered to take out his trash for $1. What makes this kid tick?
I wish I knew. I have the privilege of being the mother of a very unique individual who has always done things in his own time and definitely with his own style and his own way. And for the most part, I try to stay out of his way as much as possible while keeping him alive, safe, and fed. Sometimes clothed, but he hasn't worn shoes since we got here, so that's cool. I love that he has the confidence to go up to someone and say, hey, you know what? I have this skill and you can pay me for it. And I love that he can do that, because if he can do that at 6, he's gonna be just fine by the time he's my age.
That what you've been doing all day? You been doing any other little money-making schemes?
No, I don't know. And picking up cigarettes, that's all. Those are the 2 things.
You're picking up cigarettes? Nice, that's a worthwhile cause.
Determined to work, that kid.
Himself in shape for work.
There's got to be another $1 I can make somewhere.
This is a unique community here at Porc-Fest because they really prize entrepreneurship in youngsters. You know, he started off making duct tape wallets and made his money that way and started talking to people, and then he ran out of wallets but still wanted to make more money because he was able to spend it his own way doing whatever he wanted. And I think he actually survived off of Dan's milkshakes for an entire day and had nothing but milkshakes. So
1, 2, 3.
Actually, don't pay me, and when I actually, yeah, because I don't want to forget.
Cash in the hand is always a
You
wise
can always bring
Yep.
it back. You can always bring it back.
But it's priceless.
Yeah.
How much money have you made this week?
I don't know. I think about $20 or $30.
At least, because you spent.
You got $20 or $30
You
on
spent
us.
18 here.
How much do you make other places? That you got that with just us.
I think about 40 or 50.
How many people are you working for?
This one, another one, 2. Vapor veggie, ice cream, sodas, Rally's, those 2. The barbecue people, that's 5 so far. And then I just walk around getting more. So.
Always more, huh? More is better.
You're working for 5 plus us. I got, yeah, 6 or 7, yeah.
No, 5.
With us?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you work it? Do you get up in the morning and eat your breakfast and you go do your rounds, or how do you do it?
Yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do. I
Gets up,
wake
he gets
up.
ready for work, he straps on his...
Sometimes I just go, wake up, skip breakfast, off to work.
Right
A
to work.
go-getter.
Now, what happens after you do your first round? Then what do you do?
I go and I go get some more rounds.
After
Do you
work,
play?
he gets more.
Yeah, today I went to the pool, I think once or twice today, and played the poke, so I've had plenty of playtime right now. Anyway, what time is it? Somewhere around 12?
At home, I can't send him out to have a bike route like he would have, 20, 30 years ago. At home, he has his responsibilities and he has some things that he can get paid for, but it's much more limited. And here he has 30 people who not only can give him a job and have a relationship with him on a meaningful level that's not necessarily, a mother and a son. A mother's always going to believe in you, but to have strangers who are like, hey, I see value in what you're doing, I'm willing to give you goods, services, money, whatever for it, good on you, little guy. That's awesome for me and for him, to build up his confidence, to know that when you're out in the real world, there are people who are going to look out for you, people who are going to value you, and that's an important lesson to learn that I can't necessarily teach him on my own.
That's great. I'm glad.
Oh,
I'm
it
glad
is.
he's it's a
this
good
is the
learning experience. For
This is the first place I ever made a milkshake for anyone. The first time I ever opened that window and actually served people through it, when I got the truck, 2013, right here in that field.
No kidding.
And it's kind of cool just to come back. And now I got some help. I got time to actually see and talk to people, and it's just most everyone I've been here. It's my fourth one. I've encountered at least one child that's just touched a special place in my heart. Like that's just awesome, incredible.
It gives you hope for humanity.
It really does. It really
does.
So, Jack, are you coming next year?
I think so.
You think so? Were you here last year?
What?
Were you here last year?
Yeah, I think so. I was here 3 times.
Were you doing trash last year?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because I would have really liked to see you last year. I was all alone here and I had nobody to take out the trash. Your services would have been really.
What?
How old are you?
6?
Oh, wow.
6 years old.
A young entrepreneur.
Yeah. You remember the other day when you stopped by and you handed me $1 and I said, "What's that for?" You remember that?
Well, one day I only paid you $5 for a milkshake, so I came down and tipped you and was like, I owe you this because I only paid you $5 in one milk.
Oh, so you knew that you didn't pay me the $6 I normally get.
Yeah.
And even though I said it was okay, in the back of your mind, you still owed me $1.
Yeah, it's just like, take it.
Well, that's awful nice of you. You're an awful honest young man.
Thank you.
That's why when you wanted a milkshake on credit, I didn't mind offering. Because you paid me right off, didn't you? Came right back and took care of your bill. It's like a responsible man should. Give your word and keep it. Yes, sir. It's been a pleasure to meet you, Jack. You know that, right? You're a gentleman and a scholar. You know what that means? A scholar? A man about the world.
Someone who seeks knowledge and respects others.
And it's a good job, and it's been a real pleasure to meet you. Honestly.
I think there's a lot of needless fear being driven into children, saying, you can't talk to strangers, you shouldn't go anywhere unattended, you're not capable, you could get hurt. That doesn't do anything for someone. You don't learn to make safe mistakes. You gotta let them make little mistakes when they're little so that they don't make huge mistakes when they get bigger.
Yeah.
The only way to learn is to practice, and you gotta practice making mistakes, you gotta practice having a job, you gotta practice negotiating and communicating and all the things that he's getting to do here in an environment where everyone's like, oh, that's Jack. Okay, yeah. And if I come walking down here, people know me as Jack's mom. And I love that. It's like, oh yeah, we know your kid. We've been looking out for him. He's doing a great job. And that's warming for me to hear, but I know he's also hearing it too.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
The point is for him to be able to come up to all kinds of people of all different ages and just start a conversation with them. Not a lot of 6-year-olds will do that.
Yeah.
And Jack will.
Well, he's definitely getting a 10-year head start.
Do you hear me? It's milkshake time. What?
How many times have you been to Shakedown Treat so far?
I think it's our 4th time coming here. We've gotten at least 3 shakes each.
Nice.
So it's good.
You're hooked.
Yeah,
You want to have this
easily.
Because Dan's always saying that these things could be habit forming.
Yeah.
Forgot my warning labels. You do have
It's definitely
Lactate
good.
Anonymous twice a week, though.
Wow.
Lactate Anonymous. LAA.
Much out of a textbook. I learned a lot of my points in life by suffering greatly. And that's what taught me how to survive. Yeah. I didn't have a silver spoon in my motherfucking mouth. When I got forced into rehab, the final result was you don't have so much of a drug problem. Mr. King is a proper authority. I'm like, well, yeah, I do. And it made sense. Yeah. Because I was an abused child, and often abused children, or almost always, grow up with a problem with authority, because your authority figure's beating you. Tying you to a tree because you're too little to help with the wood. Oh, Jesus. You kind of grow up with a problem with fucking authority, you think?
It was in Alaska, I think, where I developed a really bad problem with authority because my stepfather, we all call him Hoodwink because his name was David Hood. And, you know, I've been hoodwinked. That used to be a saying. He was a really bad drunk who sometimes got really violent, very abusive. Shot my dog, tied me to a tree because I was too little to help gather wood. Didn't want to lose track of me in the woods of Alaska, so he just tied me to a tree. Bear bait, I called it. But that's where I developed my problem with authority because he made me feel that way and really messed my head up a little bit more. And when he was gone, when I was like almost 11, I think, I'd have to verify that with my mother. That was it. I was out of control. There was nobody to tell me what I was going to do anymore, so my mother couldn't control me. Off I went. Onto the streets. The hustle at 11, 12 years old. Never wanted to be home. Always wanted to be out on the road. Finding some weed, because that was my drug of choice. It made me feel better when I smoked pot at night, especially. Made me calm inside and happy, which I had trouble being happy at that point in my life. I found that marijuana really made me just sit back and go, oh, it's not so bad, man. And I kept getting in trouble for that. And it started pissing me off. Like, why is everybody freaking giving me these pills, but they get me in trouble for the vegetable? The first time I got busted, it said right on the ticket, possession of vegetative matter. 6 grams of vegetative matter, whatever the amount was. And I said, see, it's a fucking vegetable. And you want to give me those toxic pills that make me feel really weird. Now in Alaska, we had a lot of times when I was young, 5, 6 years old, my stepfather would disappear. Leave my mother with 3 kids and no money. You know, eventually she started working, and she was always working because that was the way my mother was, always. But stepfather would disappear and we'd have no money, so we'd eat whatever we could get. Corn chowder, a lot of corn chowder. And when he was around, he'd hunt, we'd eat moose meat. He'd catch salmon and put them in the smoker. Ate a lot of frickin' wildlife. And again, I got to learn how to be appreciative of what you do have when you have it.
What happened?
I lost everything in my freezer.
How?
So I'm trying to figure out right now. The circuit popped. The 30 amp is theirs, the 50 amp is mine. They're always on one or the other. But I gotta find out why that their freezer decided not to be frozen anymore. If it's not a popped breaker, then it would be probably the compressor. Because I replaced the fan last year. Junk,
Good, that gives me something to do on the days off I was going to have. Because I really didn't want a day off, you know. You don't even mad. Because I just do something stupid, like sleep. These are kids who tell me it's that hot because of the gentleman. Well, this is why they make thermometers, isn't it? Wow. All this silence is killing me, so why don't you ask me a question? Why don't you say, Dan, if you could have stayed in school and went to college for anything you wanted, what would you have done? And my honest answer would be, when I was young, I didn't even think about it. I had no idea about anything. I would say if I look back now and could tell my younger self to stay in school and to take something, I would have went to law school. I would have been an attorney. An attorney with the balls to take on the system. There's just not enough of that, you know what I mean? It's never too late, but you know, being the ice cream man for the last 20 years of my work life will be good enough if I can keep this truck going that long. Which, in all reality, every show I pray to get home. Never mind 10 years out of this girl. But it is what it is. Run what you got. One time when I was 14, 15, stole this girl's mother's car and her, and two of my friends. We all took off to Florida in a 1976 Camaro, I want to say. I learned to drive that car. Made it all the way to Florida. Left one of my friends behind, and me and the girl and one other guy continued to head out to California and got clocked speeding and pulled over in the middle of the night on I-10. They clocked me actually going over 100 and I was only 14, 15. It's kind of funny. Scary list of charges I got. Kicked on. Put my outer refrigerator. This is what happens when the freezer goes up.
You want me to? Oh, and these are already gone.
Anybody want cotton candy milkshakes?
What about the Twix bars?
Guess what? I don't have to worry about running the freezer on the way home because we're going to be done then.
What about the Twix bars? Are they completely thawed?
Did you notice the state? No, they were over in a different section of it.
Yeah, you never do. It could have been colder.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. Really sorry.
Okay. Need eggs. Don't be sorry. It's not your fault.
No, I'm sorry that he's going through.
Oh.
It's not the first time.
It's
the best was going home after a show, plugging the freaking truck in at my house. I had the truck at my home, and falling asleep for 2 days, and then getting up and doing some laundry, not realizing the truck was plugged in on the same breaker as the washer and dryer. So when I dried my clothes, it popped the breaker. And of course, I was sleeping when the dryer popped the breaker. When I got up, the whole freezer was not only soft, it was liquid. And talk about a mess to clean up. The bottom of that freezer, just ice cream soup. Sticky, gooey. Ugh. But I got a feeling it's the compressor because that fan's blowing away. The fridge is still fine.
Yo, ho, ho!
Let's see what kind of temp we got in there.
Imagine that.
See what the tragedy really is. You never know what tomorrow will bring. What a long, strange trip it's been, for sure. But every little piece of it has brought me to who I am today, and you know, that's who we all are. We all are the equivalent of what our life has made us. Because that's the only thing that makes an adult is the life that's led before any given time in your life. At 40, I wasn't the man I am now at 52 because of the things that happened over the last 12 years, and so on down the line. Until I found myself in my 50s with a pretty good mindset, pretty good ability to achieve what I set out to achieve. A lot of patience, a lot of perseverance. Because if you want something, you always got to fight for it. Nothing's easy. If it was, everybody would do it. You know what I mean?